pink. Think pink when you shop for summer clothes. Think pink. Think pink if you want that kelp that shows. Red is dead, blue is through, green's obscene, brown's taboo, and there is not the slightest excuse for plum abuse or chartreuse.
G'day gorgeous. This week I wanted to talk to you about an issue that comes up in Divorce Diva, about legal processes and what happens when you're trying to negotiate some level of financial settlement or some other issue that needs to be dealt with in the court. And one of the reasons that I wanted to talk to you about this is because of the importance to understand when emotions feeding into the process and where sometimes that's actually not doing you any favours. Sometimes we make assumptions that people on the other side are behaving in a particular way just because they want to annoy us. But in reality, often what happens is they're dealing with their own mental health issues, their own approach to it. Some people often work in avoidance, and maybe in the past it's been you working in avoidance, not wanting to deal with the issues because you kind of don't want to face the fact that this is the reality of life, right? Unfortunately, people, when they sort of, get angry because they can't seem to get a negotiated space for themselves, they lawyer up, and then it becomes this battle of, legal costs, and often that causes major issues that really don't need to happen. And the reason that I'm highlighting it is because a lot of lawyers, even though they're supposed to act on your behalf, are really just kind of looking at how to continue the paperwork process between two law firms to hike up everybody's costs. And that's not really an effective outcome for you. And so I would often say, you've got a mozzie, sorry. I would often say to people, sometimes when we lawyer up, it's just because we can't negotiate or liaise with the other person on the other side in a non-emotive way. And I think we often do this because we bring in other things like, children, or maybe if the other person hurt you in some way, like they cheated on you, then you really want to make them pay. But the legal process doesn't actually allow you to find any fault. And so sometimes holding on to these issues about how this person should kind of, compensate you for their behaviour actually is more detrimental to you. And it's often useful at that point to kind of go, okay, I need to recognise that I've been super hurt in this process, but at the end of all of it, I need to try and negotiate the best outcome that I can. And the first thing I would say, you need to get an understanding of what's the value of the pool of assets. And for most people, if you've been together for 20 years and you've got, multiple children, and you met in your 20s and you've built up a pool of assets together, then that's a little bit different to, somebody who's been with their partner for, 2.5 years and they came in with their own assets, and so did their partner. And it's really important to get your head around the difference. Because just because you partner up with somebody who has a lot of assets doesn't mean that you're entitled to them. But when you build them together, even if you've stayed home and had children and your partner's been the one that's brought in, the money for maybe a significant portion of your marriage or your relationship, is not necessarily a reason that they should get the major portion of it. I think it's really important that you get to the basis of what is the value of the assets and the liabilities before you even try and contemplate things like children and the separation of all of that stuff. Because often, if you can't even agree on the value of a property or the value of a car or the value of, the household appliances, you're really going to start having arguments about things that are really important, like children, when they're actually impacted by your feelings with regards to money. And money's grubby, it just is. People want to hang on to money because they see that it's important. The point that I'm trying to make here is make sure that you hang on to your money, that you don't actually go to lawyers and fight about money, because quite frankly, if you can't agree over about a $5,000 difference, it's really sad to find that you both pay a lawyer $20,000 each to send each other letters to actually get no further than splitting it down the middle at $2,500 each. So I suppose what I'm trying to say is, in legal processes too, they also create within them some emotional kind of stuff, and it's stressful and it causes problems, and you know, it's not a good process. It's not an easy outcome for anybody. So I hope that that's helpful. I don't want to go on and on and on about it, but I really would just encourage you, before you do anything else, sit down, write the other side a bit of an email outlining a few things that you want to sort out about money. And don't let children and things come into it. And don't let the fact that they maybe had an affair or you had an affair come into it. It's about the money, sorting the money, being rational about what's the position that you're in, and trying to work a way forward that doesn't drive everybody crazy and doesn't cost you the earth. Okay, gorgeous. I hope that helped. I'll see you soon.
Pink for cheeks and pink at your lips, pink for shirts and all of your slips, just a touch of pink at your knees, and if you please, what? Pink chemise.